Hello, friends. Welcome back to the ComfyUI stream. How's everybody doing today? I'm here with Allison and I'm here with Ingi. Y'all know Ingi.
Oh,
We've talked to Ingi before, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to let Ingi introduce himself again. What's up, Ingi?
how's it going? Yeah, you want an intro?
Yeah, I do. I
Do
want
a
the
quick
people to know
intro?
who you are
Yeah. Um, God, how far back do I go?
all the way. Like, I want to know where you were born, what hospital, like your
Yeah,
home address, credit
yeah.
card, all that stuff.
All the way I was when I was born, all that. Yeah. So I'm Ingi. I am an Icelandic person. I live in the UK. I come from a long while in the advertising and animation space. Ran an animation studio called Golden Wolf until 2023 when I sold it. Spent a couple of years at a company called Doodles, and then I went full-time AI in 2025, last year. And I founded a company or co-founded a company called Systms, and just do all kinds of fun, weird stuff with AI for all kinds of people.
Yeah, and as of recently, have been going pretty viral with this new time slice and GUI and all these fun effects for post processing, all the cool stuff you're making in Comfy. So we're gonna get into all that, but like the focus of today, just so everyone knows, is it's about making stuff in Comfy, but it's also about what do you do with that stuff once you have it, right? And I think Ingi's one of the best people at taking things that he's made a folder of things and then taking that to the next level. And so, yeah, today I really want to talk about what that looks like to you and like where the compulsion comes from to not stop with the generation and all that kind of stuff. So, I think I want to kick it off basically by just like what was the first thing that drew you to AI? What's the thing about AI that like actually made you just go all in on in 2025? Like what
Mm.
kicked off the passion about AI versus trad and like traditional work that you were doing?
Yeah. I mean, I got into AI in 2022. The kind of the thing that got me into it, and maybe start with a little bit of a backstory that the way I got into animation was through graphic design, and I got into graphic design through graffiti. So like it's this kind of journey where I kind of evolved through different things. And
Nice.
when I got into animation through design, we were essentially working at a design studio, and we started a new office that was just for animation, and we had absolutely no idea what we were doing. Like everyone there was a designer that never done animation or motion, and we just figured it out. Like, and we kind of taught ourselves the tools or like figured out new ways of doing things, but we were always told that we were doing it wrong. That other people that wasn't how it was done at other places or that kind of stuff. But we quite liked that because the end result was different, and we were constantly kind of finding ways of like hacking things in After Effects to like make it look like you did something that was really complicated and found a simpler way of doing it, or like allowed you to do things more things quicker and that kind of stuff. So we were always kind of using the tools as tools essentially. So when AI came along, or was kind of first popularized, so it was DALL-E 2. When I got a friend of mine had got access to it, and I was so jealous, and I applied, and I think like 3 months later I got it, and I don't think I slept for like 3 days.
I
It
know
was
that
just like
feeling.
the best thing ever. And then Midjourney after that, and I just remember like spending like weeks and weeks like in the first iteration of Midjourney, like making images with like individual words, or like, and then combining the words and then putting them in different orders, and then just making these spreadsheets of like what the difference would be,
Oh,
trying to
so you
like,
were literally plumbing the latent depths from the beginning.
yeah,
You were just
like
sort of
figuring
like,
out like
yeah,
what does cinematic do to an image, like, and I really wanted to know, I really wanted to understand it. And then that carried on into Stable Diffusion, and then Automatic 111, and then Comfy. So I've always had this, like, I always feel weird when there's a new model or something new, because like I don't understand this model. Like I can make something beautiful, but I never post like the thing that comes out of the model. Like, that's always been the thing. And I think possibly it's because it's just ingrained in me that like I need to feel like I did something, or like I did more than the stuff before it, or the stuff that comes out of it. So
do you
when
feel
I
any ownership out of a straight generation?
If I trained something that made
I
it.
see.
Yeah.
Because
So
it's an
yeah, whether
observation of
it's
your work.
before or after. If it's just a prompt, no, probably not. But that's just me. Like, nothing against doing it like that. I think, some people are absolute masters at prompting, whereas I kind of leave the prompting to LLMs. Like a lot of what I do is like, here's like 7 images, like take this from this one and this from that one and make something from it, rather than writing out a beautiful prompt.
That's a good point. That's something I try to get across to people too, is like, you don't have to spend all day writing these bonkers paragraphs of text. It all just starts to run together anyway.
Mm.
LLMs are way better at this than you are.
Yeah.
Like, what's been your sort of go-to way to help the LLMs understand the prompts? Like, do you do big, long system prompts to get them into a space? Or is it more just part of the prompt itself when you're asking for a prompt? Or do you build systems and like feed it images and ask for prompts? Like, I'm curious how you approach sort of prompt enhancement with LLMs.
Yeah. There's a couple of ways. So like, my like go-to workflows will have LLM nodes that I often just have like a prompt that is already matching like what the LoRa wants, for example. So like if it's a transition LoRa, then I'll have instructed it like, write a transition between this image and this image, look at the shapes, or find a commonality between the images, whether it's the color or a shape or a person, and then describe how that thing transitions to the other, and then include these terms and that kind of stuff. So it will be, it would generally be something that like through trial and error, just like, the model likes this kind of thing, so I'll go with that. And then sometimes it's try and see, give it a bunch of images and see. But obviously now with Fable and things like that, they kind of just get you. And with the memory and everything, it's becoming rarer and rarer that they don't get what you mean.
Yeah. Well, now I'm curious, like, Allison, you've seen Ingi's work, and I know you're just learning Comfy now. Do you see the separation of the stuff that he's doing in Comfy versus the stuff he's doing in post-production, or does it just seem like a finished piece to you when you see his work? I'm curious.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. Honestly, to me, it just feels like a finished piece. I mean, the style is so distinct and recognizable that I'm not surprised to hear you say, Ingi, that like you're never using something just like straight out of a prompt. Makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, maybe actually instead of just talking about it, Ingi, if you want to show people the kind of stuff you've been working on lately, maybe we can just switch over to a screen share or something. We can talk about it while you show us.
Yeah.
Basically, so people understand. I'm sure a lot of you have already seen Ingi's work, but if you haven't, be prepared. This stuff's really awesome.
Yeah, let me, what's the best way of doing it? I've got a few videos that I could
Right on.
Right. So this is where I take you to my screen share, and then I take you to my other PC. So let's see if we can teleport you.
It's going to happen.
Is it sharing? There we go. Oh, yes. There we go.
So many sharings.
Is it showing the folders?
Yeah,
It
we
sure
see
is.
Awesome. All right. So I can start with this one, the one that was playing.
We may want to wait for our stream to settle a bit. I think it might be a little choppy.
Yeah. You want to? Shall I get to these later?
It was actually going pretty good now.
Yeah, it looks good now on my side.
Cool. Here, all right, I'll play a couple more.
Sick.
So insane.
Yeah, and then what else? I'm going to play this one. It's a little bit different. All very short. But yeah, that's generally the kind of stuff I've been up to. I mean, it's kind of evolved a little bit. Let me put this one up, but I won't.
You clearly don't know who you're talking to, so let me clue you in. I am not in danger, Skylar. I am the danger. A guy opens his door and gets shot. You think
turn that audio off. I mean,
I love how loud you mixed the balloon squeaking sound.
Yeah.
It's
It
perfect.
really takes us there.
It's, you know, what's funny about this one is that it's the whole reason why I started my Instagram page, because I never had an Instagram for any of this stuff, and I just had a private Instagram, and someone took this off TikTok and like posted it on Instagram and got like 10 million views or something. So
got all your views for you.
But the funny thing is that the reason why I know they took it off TikTok is that TikTok does that annoying thing where it adds a sound without asking. And like you're supposed to turn it off, but I didn't realize it did it. So the one version of this that has like some weird music in the background is from TikTok. And that's the one that people stole and put everywhere.
That's crazy. Oh, people are asking how they can use your plugins. Go download them.
Yeah.
Go download them, people. We're going to have them on cloud as soon as we possibly can, but the time slice node's available right now in Comfy if you want to go play with it. We'll add a link to the description, and we'll try to drop one in the link in the description below as well. We'll talk about the time slice node, but you guys should try it out. Takes almost no GPU whatsoever. It's almost instant and super fun to play with.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, I've had a few people ask which model is needed for it, and which, you know, it's a perfectly valid question, but it brings something up that I think maybe a lot of people don't realize about Comfy, is that it can do non-AI stuff, and I think it's actually incredibly good for that. One thing that LLMs are incredibly good at is coding things for Python, and Python can essentially do anything like any app can do. It's just a software programming language. And so instead of trying to like build your own app or like host something on the web or whatever, like just like build something and use it in Comfy, it's just like a great interface for it. So I've just been making loads of nodes that solve problems that or allow me to do things that might have taken me a long time in After Effects, or I do often, and just make a node for it and it does it in seconds.
Oh, you're muted, Pers. Oh no.
Too many windows. That concept, that process is what I want to talk about a bit more too, because I too am of the vibe code your own, like scaffold your own pipeline mentality. Have you done that before LLMs? Were you coding software before LLMs could do it, or were you just using software? Because like me personally, I could script a bit, I could do some web design, but code just was like, nah. Was that the case for you, or were you already a coder and then just?
So in my early 20s, late teens, I was doing I taught myself HTML, PHP, a few other things, thinking that I needed it for when I went to university, and then no one actually knew code when I got there, so I didn't need it at all. So I was doing like web design and like Flash and things like that, like, you know, so that I definitely could code to a degree, but like not anymore. But the good thing about it is I can read a Python script and understand what's going on. I wouldn't be able to write it without an LLM helping me.
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat, but that's a great place to be if you're creative and you want to make like software to do stuff with your art. Like me, I make a lot of text atlases and things like that, where you take the brightness of, you know, chunks of pixels and turn them into characters and things like that for like ASCII art. But all these kind of things were a lot easier or a lot harder to do back in the day. But now you're right. That could be a node. It could be a web app that I make that scaffolds on the end. It could be a Python script that runs after the generation is made. You can even take that stuff and convert it into other things. Let's say you made a node, you really like it, but you want it in DaVinci Resolve. That's a prompt away. Like, hey, I made this cool node. Can you turn it into a OpenFX plugin, plug it into Resolve? Are you doing any like plugin design outside of Comfy as well? Or are you just kind of using Comfy as the processing like bed?
Not in other applications, but like web-based stuff for sure. Yeah. I mean, that's the cool thing about the nodes is that once you have the functions for the nodes, very easy to translate into a web app. So like, we've got like the time slice nodes are a web app. They don't use Comfy on the back end. They just use Python. Essentially the same processes for your browser to figure out.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Everything is everything now, and you are the software.
Yeah.
In that case, where does creativity lie after if you're just sort of sitting on a couch and asking for things, where do you feel the ownership comes in?
I think it's an interesting one, because I kind of feel like, having spent so much time and got so deep into the technical side of it, like, which hasn't necessarily been like where I've been in the past. I find that like building a workflow feels creative, or training a LoRa feels creative, like there's so much. It feels like it's kind of it's like any part of it is kind of like an expression. It's a little bit like, I used to find skateboarding to be like an art form. It's like a creative expression. It's like you're moving your body in a way where you're expressing like who you are or whatever. Like you can kind of see that in anything. And I feel like, even like, as I say, even building out a workflow or like any part of it feels creative. But it's different, I think, in the sense that like, if you labor over an image for a week, then all of those things are condensed into that one action. Whereas when you're looking at it from a systems point of view, it's one piece of a much bigger puzzle of creativity. So like that one piece is like less of like a creative expression, and it becomes like part of a bigger like tapestry of things. But like, in terms of like, if I am just like watching TV or whatever, and I'm like generating images and seeing what sticks, I find that like it's as close as I can get to like flow state, or like not just disrupting the flow, and that's why the sort of building on top of the generation is so important to me. Is that like a lot of those animations, like obviously like they're so kind of crazy and random. Like I didn't plan every pixel. Like I don't really plan anything. Like I have the most fun creating when I'm just in the middle of it and I'm figuring it out, and then all of a sudden it's actually this works.
It's weird how that's shifted. So a lot of like, and it always was a thing where part of the creativity was discovery, but it feels like it's almost more now. The exploration is a part of the creativity. But like for me, like the harness, the human, the thing that's driving the train, that's like, to me, where the creativity comes in. It was where it's, all the decisions you made up to that point wouldn't have been made by a machine, right? Like our taste and our, just all the things we've been exposed to over the years, it all just amalgamates and hopefully into your lens of what you're looking at. And do you find that like your lens is better because you've been a traditional artist for a long time? Like how do you sharpen your lens? How do you make sure that your taste is evolving and not just like staying stagnant or getting stuck in a certain era?
A couple of ways. The first thing is that like I try not to worry about what other people think of what I do, right? And obviously that's easy to say, right? But I've definitely in the past gotten stuck in this idea of like, what's going to go viral, like what's going to be popular or whatever, and now it's just like, you know what, I'm just going to post the weirdest, most random thing, and like if no one likes it, that's fine. And actually, usually those are the things that do the best, right? So like,
absolutely,
all the ones I really labor over, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be great, and like no one likes it.
Don't you love it? You spend 2 weeks on something, and then you post like a open pose clip from that project, and everyone with 4,000 likes, you're like, oh, so I'm irrelevant.
Yeah,
exactly. I'm useless in this process.
Yeah, but the other thing is like, and I've always kind of had this like strange compulsion where I have to always make like I almost like hate the thing I made as soon as I made it. I might enjoy it for like a week maybe, and then I just hate the thing, and I get really genuinely like a bit depressed when I feel like I'm doing things that I've done a lot before. And so like I try and like reinvent it, or at least some part of it over time. But I'm making like stuff at like a pretty high rate, like, you know, doing at least like 1 or 2 full pieces a day, and, you know, thousands of generations a week or whatever. And so for me, it's just about you know, classic Rick Rubin, like, you know, listen to what you feel on the inside, right? And try and judge it based on that. And like I'll know like once I've like exhausted a thing because I'm bored of it. And then I try something new.
Yeah. I actually want to take it back a little bit, if that's all right, Ingi. We've had a couple people in the chat asking, how did you get started? How did you learn? Like, are there any tutorials or communities that helped you sort of build this knowledge and build your systems? This one's a question from Adriana Valenzuela.
Yeah. I mean, number one place I would say would be Banadoko. Spent absolute years on that Discord. Absolutely amazing. Tutorials, a lot of PERS tutorials, I have to say.
Who's that guy?
I know. And I'm blanking on his name, the guy that made IP adapter. Like
Mateo Cubic.
That's the one.
Latent
Yeah,
Vision. Go follow Latent Vision on YouTube, everybody. Fantastic tutorials on the actual nature of diffusion. You want to learn how things actually work? Go listen to Latent Vision. Anyway, I'll stop.
I mean, so I think it started with the first ComfyUI tutorials that I did were his, and what I really liked about it was that he didn't just kind of show you the nodes and show you what they did or whatever. Like, he explained like the reason for like everything, like, and there's certain concepts like, you see in nodes today, like in the WAN wrapper, for example, there's a slot for a negative image, and like I only know what negative image is because of his tutorials, but like I would have assumed that it would be just an inverted image, like in an inverted image in Photoshop or whatever, but it's noise or something, but it's
like a crappy version of the image so that it knows what not to do, which is like a really cool concept. But really you're right, just from the name of a input, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, a lot of it's just been honestly like places like Banadoko, like the ComfyUI Discord, like just learning from other people, like finding workflows, the Reddit, like those kind of places where, I mean, I used to download every workflow I saw anywhere and just open it up and see if I could figure it out, which is just a brilliant way of learning, because like it is really scary when you first get into it. It is a lot to take in, and long gone are the days where you could just needed like 5 nodes to make something. Like now it's like 50 nodes to make a simple thing. So I think that. Even now, even though they might be a little bit outdated, some of those tutorials from Mateo are really good, because I think it's really important to, if you're going to be using the models at that level and like breaking them down at that level and not just kind of using the prompt window, I think it's really important for people to understand like actually how the process works. Like what's the text encoder for? What's the latent space? What is a latent? What do all those things mean? Because then once you figure out all the other nodes and stuff, then like how to like improve it, right? So like wasn't that long ago, like maybe like a year and a bit ago, that like the concept of shift came out. Like no one had a clue what that meant. And still today, I don't think people really know what it means. And it's a little bit like CFG. It could mean it could mean an image is better or worse, right? Like but without really kind of diving into kind of what happens when you change those values and you understand what they're trying to do, it's going to be really difficult to get the most out of it.
Yeah, it's the other thing is there's a lot of models like don't make it. Like there's knowledge in my head about pyramid flow and SVD and all these models. This is now completely useless information. At the time, would help people get unstuck and stuff like that. How do you filter out the noise? Like, do you have a better gauge now of what you think you should dive into versus just trying to learn everything? Like, like you said, it's just like almost option paralysis when you first start and you try to absorb everything. But now, is there stuff you just completely ignore because you know it's like not relevant to your rabbit holes, or like how do you
Yeah,
gauge what's worth diving into?
it's that part's been really tricky. I mean, like there was a point where I had to like, and you know, specifically in relation to Benedoco, like where I decided to just mute every channel apart from the video channels, for example, where like I just couldn't keep up with like every image model and every other thing, and then it became only one, right? And you know, now it's, you know, now Minimax and LTX and I've kind of narrowed my field of expertise down to video models. I use image models an awful lot, but like I'm not as deep into them as I used to be. They're doing obviously incredibly useful and needed, but for my process. But knowing how the video model works and like how to get the best out of something is more important than me kind of understanding a million different things, because you only have so much brain space, right? And so like I feel now I'm close to knowing like WAN as well as I think I can, and I'm starting to expand a little bit on the models that I use. But you know, it's also like knowing like which model to use for what. Like WAN is a fantastic upscaler, for example, and so you can use other models and then mix it with WAN for that specific thing. Or it's like a VFX studio. You can like fix something with WAN that was made with a different model and things like that. So I think there's a tendency for people to sometimes like favor one model and only use that one. And I think the key is actually just knowing like which ones do the job best.
Yeah, I agree. And so the process of learning a model's strengths and weaknesses, you feel like you can do that through just seeing a bunch of generations at this point? Like if a new model comes out, you just kind of surf the video channel on that model and just sort of like, oh, it sucks at high motion. Oh, it looks like it's good for illustration, not so good for this or that. Like, do you get a gauge of that, or do you really have to dive in and make your own stuff with it?
No, because normally when I look at the video channels, I see all these great outputs, which I guess are like
cherry picked. Yeah.
Cherry picked, right? So generally it will be like, I've just done this thing in a model that I really understand. Let me try and recreate that. And if it gives me a better thing, then I'm like, oh, okay, all right, this is interesting. But generally it'll be down to like, how close does it get to the thing that I want? Because like obviously the sort of the danger of AI is that like they're tuned to give you a great result no matter what. And it's easy to get to a good result, but it's not easy to get to a good result that happens to be exactly what you wanted. And so that's the thing that I judge them on is I'm trying to get to this result. Like, let's say what used to be really difficult, like doing a 360 rotation around someone, you know, which all kinds of like, you know, external LoRAs or whatever, or models to do that.
Or millions in the 90s.
Yeah.
Millions of dollars to make a, you know,
yeah,
a shot.
And so, you know, like today I tried that on Minimax, did it first time, and it was a perfect loop.
That's actually, that leads me to a question from Verstian here. Minimax H3 is the first video model where I didn't immediately feel the need to find LoRAs because of how well it works out of the box. With day ones feeling so complete, your goals shift. Do you feel like your ownership or your control of the model slips away as they get better and better and better at just sort of generalization? Like, how do you get the jank back in there?
Yeah, so it certainly used to. I mean, I canceled my Midjourney subscription when the model got so good that I didn't feel any ownership of it.
Right.
But I see it a bit differently now. So I think a lot of what, you know, this feels like years, but it's probably been like a year or something, or a year and a bit since WAN and those models came out. But my thing was very much for a while was like, I want to get really good at this model and I want to train the best LoRAs, and like, you know, I want to like be able to like use it and tune it and whatever, like the best anyone can. And then new model comes out, it's worthless, right? And I think the way that I look at it now is that like anything around like, you know, tuning a model or whatever, you know, it's a little bit like a wrapper for ChatGPT, right? It's like they change the model or whatever, and you know, they might include the thing that you're building. I think the important thing more than anything is actually knowing how to use the models and what you can do with it, and kind of having like a bit of a forward-looking perspective on it, in the sense that if you're building something or building something for a client, what you don't want is to build it in a way where, like, the second the new model comes out, it's outdated or it needs to be updated. You want to build it in a way where if a new model comes out, great, now it's better, right? And so think of the models as, or I kind of think of like image models and video models now is that it's a given that at some point they're going to be so good they can do anything, and they can do anything you want and they'll get it right every time. That's a given. They're going to get better and better and better. And so what really, really matters is actually just what you want, because there's more, they can do more things than all of the people in the world can come up with. And so someone's got to decide what they do, and then that either works or doesn't work for the thing that it's trying to do and trying to communicate. And so the model's getting better, I think, should make us feel more creative, but it's easy to kind of see it the other way around when you're looking at things at such a technical level.
Yeah, that makes sense. Juan Franco would like to know, do you know of any production companies using ComfyUI as part of their pipeline?
I would imagine. I mean, I know for a fact there's quite a lot. Probably won't name them. In case they're not.
There's still a bit of cultural disdain for AI. Yeah. So that's actually something we should talk about. Juan, there's probably a lot of people using it that will never talk about it or won't talk about it for a year or two. So we happen to know there's actually quite a bit of adoption in the professional production company world, and they are just as concerned as anyone else is about getting the dog pile and the disdain of traditional artists. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough thing, but yes, people are using it in production every day.
100%. 100%. And to be honest, as I say, like I ran an animation studio for 10 years. And we were facing the same reality that the entire rest of the industry was facing, at no fault of their own, is in that, budgets were going down. And when I say going down, like they were maybe like 20% of what they were 20 years ago, right? Like, 30-second TV ad is like $1 million budget, easy, right? Like, and now it's like 200 grand and you've got to do 50 Instagram spots to go with it. And so the budgets have been squeezed, and what people want from that budget has increased. And so AI came along, and it's like, well, isn't this is a perfect solution? But then, of course, there's been some kind of obviously a rejection of it to a degree. But from the studio level, I think people are thinking, well, this is actually what we needed, because this couldn't go on. And VFX studios going bust after winning an Oscar, things like that. Rhythm and Hughes did. I can't remember the name of the movie, but yeah, literally like went under like right after winning an Oscar because
they worked to the bone to get it done, and then there's nothing left.
Exactly.
Yeah. Some guy in the chat said you can't build a serious production workflow around an API that can change client side out of your control. How do you feel about that? Is that why you stick to one, and some of the other stuff is that down the road the models aren't going to change and you can get the same results out? Does that even come into mind? Are you like, I'm of two minds about this personally, whereas it's like, I'm just going to make something cool with whatever I'm given. So like production pipelines to me only exist as long as the project exists. Yep. So yeah, I don't know. What's your take on that? Like, how long do you need a production pipeline to exist in order to consider it to be a production pipeline?
That's a good question. I mean, there's certain things that you don't want changing, right? So, let's say you're doing something for Mickey Mouse, which, probably quite unlikely, or maybe, and that character looks a certain way. You've trained a LoRa around that, whatever, and then and you make a public platform where everyone can make a video or an image with it, and then the model in the background changes. Now all of a sudden it's a different character. That doesn't work. And so in those cases, you need something that's offline or certainly not centralized. But yeah, as you say, for ongoing productions, I mean, in advertising, like a production, like 3 months would be a long time for a production, and a lot of it's like 3 weeks, right? So as long as people can keep up with it, and there aren't like too many surprises, or yeah, like if someone's in the middle of a project and all of a sudden everything changes, which is rare. It's rare that a model just like gets pulled and another one gets put in its place, you have seed dance 2 and 2.5 at the moment, for example, and you can still access the older ones. Sora, yeah, there was no warning there.
Yeah, but I mean, Sora was, in my opinion, a bit of an experiment. I don't know if anyone was building a pipeline on Sora, yeah, I agree with you. And I think that actual window of your production, like your production window, that's shortening as well, because even Marvel, they're not probably using the exact same production pipeline for every movie, right? They're evolving, they're changing, they're assessing new things, they're auditing what worked, what didn't work, they're swapping things out. Yeah, it has to be the same thing for the course of the project, but yeah, projects only last so long. So I think the trick is actually learning how to build a repeatable pipeline and be agile enough to swap things out and make it better, not worse.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, as you say, like timelines are going to change an awful lot. And I think also like there's going to come a point where the actual outputs will be different to what we see today. Like movies, TV shows, all those things only exist because of restrictions 100 years ago when TV came around, or like, like the formats exist because of the things in the past, and those things have evolved. And we're probably heading towards a place where like a lot of things will be like interactive, for example. So different people might see different versions of the same video or things like that. So so I think from a kind of a production turnaround perspective, like people might be turning things around in minutes or hours, or like, what I mean? Like that whole thing is changing. So it will be very much about being able to adapt and sort of picking up new things. And that's only going to get faster, really. And like we all feel it working in the space, right? Is that you can't just keep using the same old model over and over again. You have to stick with it because your competitors have an edge if they're using the new model.
Yeah. So your relationship with AI, do you consider it to be a replacement for a team, or is it more of an accelerator pedal for an existing team? Does it replace people? Does it enable people? Like, how do you feel about that? Would you replace people with AI if it was possible, or do you still think people using AI is sort of the move?
I mean, people might have a different opinion of this, but in my opinion, in my view, AI doesn't do anything on its own.
Right.
It's like it requires someone to decide to do something and to brief it or prompt it or whatever. And could one person do a whole studio's worth of work on their own? Like with AI, of course they could. I mean, I easily get through more than what a traditional studio would output in a month, just because I know I was there and we did it. But A, that doesn't mean the work's as good, right? And B, it doesn't mean that it has the same impact. But I think the reality is that rather than thinking of it in terms of like replacing people, it's like, well, what's probably going to happen is people are already being asked to do like 17 assets for like the same campaign or whatever. It's like, okay, now we can do that. Maybe these things don't have to be cut downs. And also maybe people can have more authorship over things. Like, I say this all the time, like, I don't think anyone like grew up dreaming of being a rigger, for example, even though it's like a brilliant skill, but like people grow up to want to be artists if they are artists, and then they end up being kind of boxed into a specialism. And I hope that the way things are evolving means that like more people can have authorship over more of the project, so that they might end up doing a piece of the project like completely on their own that might not have been possible before.
No, that's interesting. Do you think the future lies in hybrid production, AI combined with old school tools like After Effects, Cinema 4D? I mean, I think we do. We're literally mashing things together as part of this stream, but I'll let you answer that.
Yeah, I think yes and no. I think that I kind of see I like to look at all technology as being like at some point being like a legacy way of doing things. Like storyboarding, for example. Like why do you need to storyboard? Because you need to prove to a client that they're spending their money in the right place. But if you can show them the thing straight away, then is there a need for that? And of course, for movies or whatever, that's obviously a thing. But I think right now it makes an awful lot of sense because you can get to the correct place and the most controlled place with those tools. But at some stage that will evolve, and I'm not saying it will all be AI, but I think the way that we interact with the medium will change. So maybe it's a webcam and you're just moving your hands around and like that changes the colors, and it would be like what was that Tom Cruise movie?
Minority Report.
Yeah, exactly, right. You're just like swiping screens away or whatever, and twisting a color knob up there or whatever. But I think everything will evolve in various directions, and like some people will still use those types of tools and some people will use other methods. But I think it will not be as linear as it will be After Effects and AI forever. It will kind of mutate and evolve now that everything's possible. Maybe everyone has a different tool in the end.
Yeah, I'm sort of in the same spot because even as a Blender user, like I'm well versed in Blender. I like to make shaders, all that kind of stuff. I'm not using it anymore at all. If I want to do Blender stuff, I pretty much just point an MCP at it now. Like where do you feel that line is drawn? Does it even matter? Like, because it certainly doesn't matter to me if someone made the thing in Blender or if they asked their agent to make it in Blender, if I like the end result. Like, is it a results-based thing for you? Is it a process-based thing? Where do you put the value in the actual creation of something? Is it in the actual enjoyment of it or the process?
The intention.
Oh, okay.
I think that it's all about intention. I don't really think anything else matters. It's like, did you get a cab to the place or did you drive? Like, you got there, right? Yep. And I think that's kind of the point, is that I don't subscribe to this idea that like, oh, it's not real unless I'm not going to use the word art because I don't really care about that label, right? But like, it's not real unless you break your back like modeling this thing and rigging or whatever. It's like, yeah, but if it's bad at the end of the day, then it's bad, right? Or if you did all that hard work and then it was bad, then is it any better? And I'll be honest, like I probably work 18 hours a day, right? Like, I'm not doing less work because it's AI,
right?
So that distinction or that idea that like the effort means that it's worth more, or how you do it is worth more. It's just about, is that the thing you actually intended to make, and how close is it to your vision? And that, I think, comes through in like, is there consistency across the body of work? If not, then maybe that wasn't the intention and it's just random, right?
Yeah, it reminds me of the old like idiom joke of the drummer who bought a drum machine and wants to, I want to go back to my roots. So they get a drum kit, and then the drum kit's not enough. So they realize they need to make their own skins. So now they're a goat farmer. And then by the end of the time, they're making their own sticks by chopping down trees. And somebody asks them, how are you enjoying drumming? He's like, well, I don't have a lot of time anymore because all these goats. And it like that kind of like, I think that if you just keep zooming back down, it's like, how much of this do we really need to be doing ourselves? Where like, if we start cutting corners, it doesn't necessarily make it less yours, right? It's just like taking pictures and developing them is now much faster with Photoshop and digital cameras. I know this is an old argument, but in your opinion, like, do you think this will fade away? Do you think people will just see this as an auto-tune or a drum machine or like just another invention that comes on? Or is this absolute left turn for humanity?
I think people will see it as that, but what I think people have to realize is that what that means is that, I don't know, I'm going very gray. I don't really understand.
It's all good. We're just instead you're undifusing as we speak.
It's very sunny. I think my webcam must be a bit broken. But where was I going? What was I saying? I think I forgot.
We were talking about goats.
we
were talking about eliminating the process, hard left turn for humanity, AI versus other things. Like, is this
I think
more exciting?
People will get over the idea of, is it AI or not? But I think we have to realize that AI is also giving content its iPhone moment, right? Where I used to go around people's houses when I was a kid, and they used to whip out the projector, and they'd be like, "Look at our pictures from our vacation," or whatever. You need to sit there and watch their photos from their vacation or whatever. Now everyone's got a million photos on their phone, and so the individual photos mean much, much less. But obviously, some will mean a lot, or they'll mean a lot to you. And so, I think the medium of the mediums of storytelling and content and all those things, the overall value of a pixel, right, is like much, much lower. But the barrier to entry and the availability of it is much higher, right? So like, I think that's the thing people have to realize is like, it doesn't mean everyone's going to be able to be Picasso or whatever, but it does mean that everyone can create. It's just sometimes it might just be for that.
You're muted, dude.
That's nice, actually. I like that. And I also think, there's a whole new type of entertainment coming, this like completely bespoke. We've seen it with Flux 3, we've seen it with Sora. It will be possible to generate a feed of stuff that only interests you and interests you to a level where you won't even be able to look away. Are you worried about that? Or do you think that that's just something we can surf as sort of media experts? Like, this is another thing, is we're both of a certain age. We've been through a lot of different media changes and technologies, and I've gone all from fully analog to completely digital and all that stuff. Like, do you feel like this is a whole new step, or is this just more digital?
It is a whole new step in a lot of ways, but it is also, I mean, I was there when digital came along, and it was like people didn't know what it was or didn't understand it, and it was the internet with no video, and then there was some video, and then all of a sudden it's all video, and I think it will change. It will change things a lot, and the algorithms and social media and everything like that, it's a scary thing, right? Like Meta doesn't understand their algorithm. No one knows how it works. Like it's gotten that complicated that they couldn't switch, like they couldn't kind of as a whole like tune it or whatever if they wanted to, because so many people had touched it. But so it becomes like a bit of a beast on its own. But I think as creators or as people in this industry, I think the key is just like to consider the value exchange, right? It's like you're asking people for their attention, and what are they getting in return? Like I like you're making them smile, laugh, whatever. Like, is there a value exchange there? Whereas obviously with AI, it's like you can just create divisive political content so that you can get monetized on X or whatever. And I think that's the danger area, right? Where like you can use these tools for good or bad, but I think the key is like giving people something in return for their attention.
Actually, before we jump into this demo, maybe you want to ask this question, Allison.
Yeah, from some guy. As someone who loves some guy, thank you for all of your questions, some guy. As someone who loves 3D modeling for days, the stuff people consider boring, I am very sad that now I have to be a creative director, editor, sound designer, but that's life and that's tech. What do you think about that?
How do you feel about that, Ingi? Do you feel like you're losing your technical thing and becoming more of a creative director, or were you always creative directing and then just
creative director, ECD, CEO, and then back to doing the thing? It's done the opposite for me, but I do understand. I do understand the concern. I mean, it got to a point where I was like, I couldn't even be on client calls because there was just other stuff to worry about, right? And so feeling like ended up in a place where I felt very detached from the work, which is, I think, exactly what some guy is saying. I think there's two sides to that. I think on one hand, I think that there's a lot to be discovered and a lot to be enjoyed. like in the world as it's evolving. And then there's the kind of studio side of it where I do understand the thing about like the enjoyment that people have from doing something, but people were never paid to like spend lots of time doing the thing. The thing needed to be done. And so I think that's just like a sad reality of working in doing creativity in an industry that isn't necessarily for creativity, if that makes sense. Like it's a business. And so that can end up becoming a bit of a trade-off. Yeah, I totally get that. But that makes sense. That's why I love AI, because I feel like I can do both. I can be creative and do the business stuff at the same time.
Right on. Well, as we're speaking here, I'm just wiring up your time slice node so people can see what we're talking about. If y'all want to try this out, I dropped a link in the chat, but we'll also add a link to the description and stuff. But basically, what Ingi's very, very cool tool here does is this. Why don't you tell the people what's happening?
Yeah. So these are the time slice nodes. So I think that it's an effect called like, what is it called? Slit
scan.
Slit scan, that's the one. And which essentially all it does is just like slice a video into a number of slices, either vertical, horizontal, whatever angle you want. And it delays each slice by a certain amount of frames. So like 1 frame or 2 frames or however many you want. But the cool thing about them is that they like you can set every parameter, so like how many frames each one is offset by. You can randomize it. You can reverse it by putting in minus numbers, but you can also combine them. You can put 2 together and put opposing angles on it, and then they're squares instead of lines. Lots of different things that you can do with it, but essentially, it's just a fun way of messing something up. And like I've had it so many times that there's been a few pieces that I put online where like I got to a point where I was like, I don't like this. It's not going anywhere, and I just threw it through this, and I'm like, I'm a genius.
Right. Great. Yeah. I love my work again. Yeah. I've had very similar things like this. This works so well with Animate Diff. If you have a bunch of Animate Diff stuff you've made over the years, oh my God, this works with Animate Diff like crazy. It's really good with lots of other stuff. Here's just combining 2 different, 2 of them in the same sort of, 2 of them in the same thing. Absolutely crazy effects you can get. I recommend everyone go play with these, and the spacing, play with the direction, connect 2 that are like wildly different. And then there's also the dual node, which is very cool, where you can mix 2 videos together. I use this one a lot just to mash, you've got a video of fire and you got a video of ice. You can put them together in this way to like make some sort of interesting juxtapositions, things like that. So I just like I really want to recommend playing with these nodes, especially as something to do with generations that are kind of like they're okay, but there's nothing to it. There's no soul. There's no personality. This is a really cool way to just start glitching and messing your stuff up. So like speaking of that, like we have this, but I know you're also working on the GUI tools. Do you want to talk about those a bit?
Yeah. Shall I share my screen?
Oh yeah, please.
Yeah, I can show some stuff. Let's see, I was trying to see my screen. Cool. Yeah. So I'm working on a bunch of different things. I actually got some new nodes that are exactly like the time slice ones, but they are called scale slice, and they do the same thing, but they just enlarge the thing in the middle instead of offsetting it. But if you set it like to a slice count that's like close to the number of pixels, then it just makes this incredibly smooth like warping thing. It's crazy. Cool. So these nodes are called HUD or HUD, just like
HUD.
After the
I kept thinking GUI, but it's HUD.
Yeah. Basically from the and I'll just set it. I might actually. I'm just gonna bypass some of these because this might actually crash my whole PC. The reason why they're not out yet is because they are incredibly RAM hungry.
If we lose Ingi, that's why. It's been lovely, man.
Yeah. Let's start off with. Let's not do the box one. Let's do them. Let's not delete it. Let's do the label one. Right. So what these do, so they're using a model called Moondream. I used to use a model called Florence, but I switched to this one because it's a bit faster and it does slightly different things. So let me just also check that my RAM is okay. Yep, RAM's fine. Basically what it does, so the Moondream node or the Moondream model, what it does is that you give it different words, right? So for this one, there's a building that is spinning around, and I've just asked it to like find these things in every frame. So a window, wood, graffiti, and rock. And so these are things that, oh, is it frozen? There you go. So these are things that occur quite a lot in it, but at different amounts. So there's not a lot of graffiti in there. There's like on the floor, there's like lots of rocks. There's like lots of bits of wood. And there's obviously plenty of windows, but not everywhere. And the reason why I don't want to label, so I've chosen not to label something that is present everywhere, like building, for example, is that one of the things you can do with this node, and you'll see in a second what it does do. It kind of labels things or tags things wherever they are. Is that if you kind of tag the big things, it will just block out the whole thing, and everything will disappear, and you don't get the effect of all this kind of madness. So essentially,
pick smaller objects in your video.
Yeah, and you're kind of banking on the model almost getting it wrong, because then you get flicker and stuff. But essentially, what this node does is that it's creating B boxes. That's the core function. It's like SAM3. You can use SAM3 for it as well. And essentially, it's just pointing at the image saying there's a window there, or there's a staircase there, or whatever. But you're visualizing that. So the reason why I made it was that like I've always been really fascinated by what you can extract from something. So like what you can extract from an image, what you can extract from a video, like that depth and normals and those types of things. Like they're just really interesting ways of looking at art, right? And so if you look at a mood board, it's like I extract a certain meaning from this mood board, but someone else might extract a different meaning from it. And so I've been quite fascinated about like how much context can you pull from an image, but then also how can you visualize that? And in this case, it's visualizing it on top of the image, which should go through at some point. It was probably not even that long a video, but yeah.
Yeah, no worries. This Moondream, like that's been around a long time. We used to use Moondream back in Automatic 1111 days to do like image, like image description. You want to get a prompt from an image.
Exactly.
So
yeah,
that's cool.
That's why I was using the Florence one, because it did the same thing. But I mean, I'm forever looking for a faster one, because they are quite slow. But NVIDIA released, I can't remember what it was called, like another one fairly recently, but the terms are basically non-commercial. So I didn't want to make a node that was using something you couldn't use commercially.
Yeah, it's tough. Like it's fun to play with, but then when you want to go use it.
Yeah, well, Moondream is like fully open, I think. But yeah, basically, so there's a bunch of different ones. Once it's done this thing, then we can fire these off pretty quickly. But essentially, they all do different. So there's different nodes here that do different things. So the box ones basically just like color the B boxes, and you've given them like a different color. So that's the color palette I've chosen, which is just like a default. But you can also put in your colors for each one, and so they'll align with like there's 4 words here, so it'll be these 4 first colors. That'll be all that comes out of it. But basically, yeah, you can do the boxes, you can do markers, which essentially are like crosses or crosshairs or I can't remember what the third one is, but like see X marker, yeah. And then you can attach an image. So I'm going to attach a cursor to it. It just means that there's going to be a cursor everywhere that thing is. Just looks absolutely wild. The label is just literally writing what the thing is. And then connectors is where you draw a line in between all the B boxes. Looks kind of like a mesh on top of it. Yeah, it's like working on adding different things. You can also do it with masks. So you can like animate like sort of masks on top of things. So you can kind of reveal things over time, which is pretty fun. And I'm working on a node that's like almost like a MIDI node, where you can use like curves and math to reveal things at different times over time. So it's not like it's there all the time. You might be able to reveal things, let's say, from top to bottom. So the thing is kind of pointed out across the screen while you're watching it. So it's not just like everything's there all at once.
Yeah, I really liked that effect when you had the pointer grabbing like the nose and pulling it up and stuff like that. It's super cool.
I think the reason why it's taking so long is because there's that many of those things in this image, in this video.
Oh, right.
Not even that long. I mean, most of the videos I do this with are like at least 300 frames. But yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah, no worries.
But yeah, it's a fun one.
I think we're actually pretty close to the end here. We're out of time, but we should just do this again soon. And once you have the HUD nodes, we should just dive into them, because I think everyone's going to want to play with these.
Yeah, they're super fun. Yeah, I just need them to A, be quicker, and B, not burn through anyone's GPU and RAM.
Right on. Well, let's jump over to this real quick. And yeah, man, thank you for coming by, Ingi. This has been a really great conversation, and just it's awesome talking to you. I love talking to you, man. Super stoked to play with HUD. Super stoked to play with a lot of time slice nodes more. And yeah, like, what advice would you give to people that are watching today for like how to excel in a creative industry?
Do more stuff. Just keep making. I think that's the key, right? Is if you enjoy it and you're doing it, then like eventually, like, you know, if you're not where you want to be today, like eventually it will click. But like, you know, you're not going to get great at when, you know, without practice. And I think that's really the only thing I've learned over the course of my career, is that's the only way to get good.
And share your stuff and listen to what people say about it, and don't take criticism you didn't ask for.
Yep.
You could take it from somebody you care about, but don't take criticism from people you don't care about. Thanks, Ingi. We'll have you back on real soon. I really enjoyed this. Yeah, everybody. I think Allison, you'll be back this week at some point.
Yes,
too, right?
yes. We're going to be playing with Minimax on Friday morning, guys. So check us out. Should be a fun time. And Ingi, in the meantime, thank you so much for joining us here. In the community really enjoyed what you shared today, what we just spoke about. I heard a lot of people tuned in from all over the world to pick up some game today. So thank you.
Yeah,
so
we're
much
actually we're at 130 active viewers right now. This might be a record.
Amazing.
Yeah. So thanks everybody for coming out. Thanks, Ingi. Everybody who's here, follow us on all the socials. Follow Ingi on all the socials, especially Instagram, and go bookmark the Systms Hugging Face and their GitHub and all that stuff, because there's going to be more models coming. We didn't even talk about the models that you've released, so we'll get there too. But yeah, go check out Ingi.
The thing's literally just finished generating. It's typical timing.
Oh, let's jump back to
Let's see it. Let's see it.
Yeah, let's jump back to it.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna see, because I didn't put it on top of the image, but it's pretty wild to see, actually. There you go. That's what came out.
Oh, cool. So it's masking all the things in the video. So it tells they're
labels. So they're the B boxes are below. So these are labels on the corners of the B boxes. So they all they say the words. So they've got so this at the bottom, it will say it will be rocks. I mean, but it's white on white. And then these will say windows. And you can change the font colors or whatever. But yeah, like, so it's just like one of the layers that I tend to do for everything, and then just throw it on and see if it works.
Yeah, it reminds me of the you ever seen the Square Pusher video for Terminal Slam? It's like Shibuya Station in Tokyo, but it's like early early computer vision. So they're just like sort of going by, and then all the things start to get labeled, but then they start replacing all the ads and stuff. It's really awesome. But it totally reminds me of this style, this Chris Cunningham late 90s, early 2000s, like GUI on top of stuff, it's HUD on top of stuff, visuals. I love it. It's just cool.
It's like this could have been any video, right? And it's extracted something from the video and it's made art in itself from something that looks completely unrelated. And that's what I love about these things.
Right on. Well, thank you once again, Ingi. This is so awesome. Yeah. Have a good one, everybody. We'll see you all real soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Bye.
Bye.
Bye.